Okay, so for this deep dive, we're going to be talking about behavior change, especially as it relates to fitness. You've sent over a ton of articles and notes, and it seems like you're really trying to get a handle on not just, what to do to reach our fitness goals, but like how to actually stick with it.
hmm
And honestly, that's where I think most of us get tripped up, right? That whole knowing versus doing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can have all the knowledge in the world about the perfect workout routine, or the ideal diet,
Yeah.
but if you can't translate that into consistent action, then you're not going to see those results that you're looking for.
Right, exactly. So I think for this deep dive, our mission is to kind of go beyond the typical fitness advice and really dig into the psychology behind behavior change, like what makes us tick, what holds
Mhm.
us back, and most importantly, what strategies can we actually use to bridge that gap between intention and action?
I like that. It's almost like we're treating this like a detective case. We've got the clues, your
Yeah.
goals, your past experiences, maybe some habits that aren't serving you, and we need to piece them together to create a plan that's truly tailored to, each individual.
Ooh, I love that analogy. So where do we even begin with this detective work?
Well, a lot of fitness advice jumps straight into the what, what exercises to do, what foods to eat, but I think the most crucial starting point is understanding the who. Who are you as an individual? What's your relationship with fitness been like so far? And what are your unique obstacles and strengths?
Because what works for one person might totally flop for another, right?
Exactly. Like a classic example is the person who dives headfirst into like an intense workout program. They go all in for a week and then they just burn out completely. Maybe like a gentler, more gradual approach would have been more sustainable for them in the long run. Or on the flip side, someone might need that initial challenge to feel motivated. It really comes down to understanding your personality and past experiences.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about getting to know yourself as a fitness individual, not just blindly following, some generic advice.
Exactly. Now, one framework that I find incredibly helpful when working with people is the Transtheoretical Model of Change. It's often called the TTM. Have you come across that in your
Yeah,
research?
I've definitely seen that mentioned. It has something to do with stages of change, right?
Yes. It essentially lays out a roadmap of the different stages that people typically go through when they're trying to change a behavior. It's not like a perfectly linear process people can jump back and forth, but it's a really useful way to understand where someone is, like
Hmm.
mentally, and what kind of support they might need at each stage.
Okay, I'm interested to hear more about these stages because I have a feeling I've probably been through all of them at some point.
I think we all have. So the first stage is called pre-contemplation. This is where someone isn't even thinking about making a change. They might be unaware of the need for change, or they might be in denial about it. It could even be that they've tried and failed so many times that they've just given up hope. So, for example, if your goal is to start running, but you're currently not even considering it, maybe you're telling yourself, I'm just not a runner, or I'm too busy, something like
Oh,
that.
I've definitely been there. It's like that head in the sand approach, right?
Exactly. But then sometimes something shifts and they enter the contemplation stage. This is where they start to think about making a change, but they're still ambivalent. They might be weighing the pros and cons, thinking about past attempts, maybe even feeling a bit stuck.
So this is where that inner dialogue starts to get a little bit louder.
Yes, it's like that internal debate that we all have. Should I or shouldn't I? Can I actually do this? What if I fail again?
Yeah, it's that mental tug of war for sure.
Now, if that internal debate starts to tip in favor of change, they move into the preparation stage. This is where they start to take those small steps. They gather information, get ready to take action.
So I'm picturing someone buying new workout clothes, dusting off those old running shoes, maybe even like researching gyms in their area.
Exactly. It's that getting ready feeling, before like a big trip. There's a sense of anticipation and excitement mixed with a little bit of nervousness.
Okay, so they've prepped, they're mentally ready. What happens next?
Then comes the action stage. This is where they're actively engaging in that new behavior. They're putting those plans into motion. But it's important to remember that this stage is still quite fragile. It takes time and effort to turn a new behavior into like a true habit.
Right, so they might be consistently like hitting the gym or meal prepping or finally going for those runs, but it's still early days, right?
And that's why the final stage, maintenance, is so crucial. This is where that new behavior becomes ingrained in their lifestyle, like second nature.
It's like brushing your teeth. You don't even think about it. You just do it.
Exactly. And that's the ultimate goal, right, with any behavior change, to reach a point where it feels effortless and sustainable.
So fascinating. And I think it's so helpful to have this framework because It acknowledges that change doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, and there are different stages we move through.
Absolutely. And understanding where you are in this process can be incredibly empowering.
It's like having a map, right? You know where you are, where you want to go, and what kind of terrain you might encounter along the way.
That's a great way to put it. And just like a map, it helps you choose the right path and pack the right supplies for your journey.
Now, I'm sure our listener is wondering, okay, this is all great, but how do I actually figure out where I am on this map?
That's where a bit of self-reflection comes in. So think about your current fitness goal. Let's just say it's to exercise more regularly. Are you currently exercising at all? Have you thought about it but not taken any steps? Are you maybe researching gyms or planning your workouts?
Or maybe you've already started exercising, but you're just struggling to stick with it consistently.
Exactly. By honestly assessing your current thoughts, feelings, and actions, you can start to pinpoint your stage of change.
So it's almost like a little self-assessment quiz. Like, am I currently doing this behavior? Have I thought about doing it? Am I taking any steps to prepare? How confident do I feel about making this change? Those kinds of questions.
Precisely. And it's important to remember that there's no right or wrong answer. Wherever you are is perfectly okay.
Because it's not about judgment. It's about awareness, right? It's about
Right.
understanding your starting point so you can choose the right strategies to move forward.
Now let's talk about those strategies because I'm sure our listener is eager to start making progress towards their fitness goal.
Absolutely. We've laid the groundwork with the TTM. We've got our map and compass, so to speak. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of how to actually navigate this terrain.
I like the way you think, and I think a great place to start is with this idea of self-efficacy, which plays a huge role in behavior change.
Okay. Self-efficacy. I've come across that term, but to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it means.
Well, put simply, self-efficacy is just the belief in your own ability to succeed. It's that confidence that you can actually do what you set out to do.
So it's not just about knowing what to do, but it's about believing that you can actually do it.
Exactly. And this is where I often see people get tripped up. They might have the knowledge, they might even have a good plan, but if they don't truly believe in themselves, it's going to be much harder to overcome challenges and stay motivated.
I can definitely relate to that. There have been times when I've set fitness goals, but deep down, I didn't really think I could achieve them. And guess what?
Hmm.
I usually didn't.
It's like setting yourself up for failure before you even begin. That's why building self-efficacy is so crucial for successful behavior change.
So how do we actually go about building self-efficacy? Is it just a matter of positive thinking?
It's a bit more nuanced than that. While positive affirmations can be helpful, self-efficacy is primarily built through experiences of success.
So it's about proving to yourself that you can actually do it.
Exactly. And this doesn't mean that you have to start with these huge, overwhelming goals. In fact, it's often more effective to start with small, achievable wins.
Small wins, big impact. I like that.
Let's say your goal is to start running. So instead of aiming for a 5K straight out of the gate, maybe you start by simply walking for 15 minutes a day. Then you gradually increase the duration or intensity of your walks. Each time you achieve a small goal, it just reinforces your belief that you can do it.
It's like building momentum, right? Each small win fuels your confidence to take on the next challenge.
Precisely. And that's where a technique called motivational interviewing can be incredibly helpful.
Okay. Motivational interview. I've heard that term thrown around, but I'm not entirely sure what it entails.
Essentially, it's a collaborative conversation style that helps individuals explore their own reasons for change and tap into their intrinsic motivation.
So instead of someone telling you what to do, it's about guiding you to discover your own why and empowering you to take ownership of your goals.
That's a great way to put it. It's about shifting the focus from external pressure to internal drive.
I love that.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be much more effective in the long run. After all, if you're not truly invested in your goals, it's going to be much harder to stay motivated.
Exactly. Now, one of the key principles of motivational interviewing is expressing empathy and understanding. It's about creating a safe and non-judgmental space where the individual feels comfortable sharing their thoughts and feelings.
It's like having a supportive coach in your corner, someone who believes in you and helps you navigate all those challenges.
Another important aspect is developing discrepancy. This involves helping the individual recognize the gap between their current behaviors and their desired goals or values.
So it's about shining a light on that disconnect between where they are and where they want to be.
Right. And this isn't about shaming or blaming. It's about gently highlighting that inconsistency and helping them explore the consequences of their their current actions.
Because sometimes, we need that gentle nudge to realize that our behaviors aren't aligned with our values or our goals.
Exactly. And when that realization comes from within, it's much more powerful than if it's imposed from the outside.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about empowering the individual to take ownership of their choices and decisions.
And that's what goal setting comes in. Once the individual has explored their motivations and identified the discrepancy between their current behaviors and their desired outcomes, we can start to work collaboratively on setting realistic and achievable goals.
Because, let's be honest, going from 0 to 100 overnight is a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's where the concept of SMART goals comes in.
Okay, SMART goals. I've definitely heard that acronym before, but could you refresh my memory on what it stands for?
Of course. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
So it's not enough to just say, I want to get in shape. We need to get much more specific than that.
Exactly. So a SMART goal might be something like, I will walk for 30 minutes 3 times a week for the next month. It's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant to your overall fitness goals, and has
Yep.
a clear time frame.
I can see how that kind of clarity would make a big difference. It takes away the guesswork, and it provides a clear roadmap for action.
And it also makes it easier to track your progress and celebrate your wins along the way. Remember, those small wins are crucial for building self-efficacy and staying motivated.
Yeah, it's like those little milestones that keep you going, those little bursts of I can do this energy.
And that's what we're ultimately aiming for, to help you create sustainable changes that you can stick with for the long haul. It's not about quick fixes or fad diets. It's about building a healthy lifestyle that works for you and supports your overall well-being.
Well said. And I think what's really resonating with me is that behavior change is a journey, not a destination. It's about embracing the process, learning from our mistakes, and celebrating our successes along the way.
That's a great way to summarize it. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Seek support from friends, family, or a qualified professional. Having that guidance and accountability can make a world of difference.
Absolutely. It's like having a cheerleader and a guide all rolled into one.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on to the next part of our deep dive, I want to bring it back to you, our listener.
Where do you think you are on your own fitness journey?
What stage of change resonates most with you right now? And what's one small step that you can take today to move forward?
Take a moment to reflect on those questions. We'll be back soon to explore more strategies and insights to help you make lasting progress on your fitness journey. Welcome back. It's been great digging into these behavior change strategies with you.
Me too. I feel like I'm already starting to shift my mindset about my own fitness journey.
That's fantastic to hear. And speaking of thinking differently, one area I think is incredibly powerful but often overlooked is this idea of cognitive restructuring.
Okay, I'll be honest. That sounds kind of intimidating.
Mhm.
What exactly are we restructuring?
Think of it like this. We all have these inner voices, these thoughts that are constantly running through our heads all day long. And sometimes those thoughts can be, pretty negative and self-sabotaging, especially when it comes to fitness.
Ooh, those sneaky little voices. Or,
Yeah,
I'll never be able to run that far, or I'm just not a gym person.
exactly. And the problem is those negative thoughts, they can become like these self-fulfilling prophecies. If you believe that you can't do something, you're much less likely to even try.
Right. So cognitive restructuring is about learning to recognize those negative thought patterns and then challenge them.
Precisely. It's about becoming aware of those automatic thoughts and then consciously choosing to replace them with ones that are more positive and realistic.
So instead of thinking, I'm so out of shape,
Yeah.
I might say, okay, I'm starting where I am and I'm committed to making progress.
That's a perfect example. It's about reframing those negative thoughts and focusing on what you can control.
I love that. It's like we're giving ourselves this mental makeover, swapping out those limiting beliefs for ones that are much more empowering.
And it's not just about thinking positive thoughts for the sake of it. It's about being honest with yourself, acknowledging, the challenges, but also recognizing your strengths and your potential.
So it's about finding that balance between optimism and realism.
Exactly. Now, one technique that I often use with clients is to have them keep a thought journal. So they write down those negative thoughts that pop up, and then they challenge them with, more positive and realistic alternatives.
Oh, interesting. So it's like we're having a conversation with ourselves, but on paper.
Right. And that can be really helpful because it forces you to slow down, examine those thoughts more closely, and really consider whether they're serving you.
I imagine it also helps you to notice patterns, right? Like, oh, I always seem to think this way when I'm feeling stressed or when I'm tired or something like that.
Absolutely. And once you become aware of those patterns, you can start to develop strategies for coping with them.
This is so fascinating. It really highlights how much our thoughts influence our actions.
And speaking of influences, let's talk about another powerful tool in our behavior change arsenal, stimulus control.
Okay, that sounds intriguing. What kind of stimulus are we talking about?
Think of it like this. Our environment can either support or sabotage our efforts to change. Stimulus control is about making changes to our surroundings to make it easier to engage in healthy behaviors and harder to fall back into those old habits.
So it's about setting ourselves up for success by, removing temptations and maximizing cues for those behaviors that we want to adopt.
Exactly. So for example, if you're trying to eat healthier, one stimulus control strategy would be to remove those tempting snacks from your pantry, replace them with healthier options.
Out of sight, out of mind. Right.
Exactly. Or if you're trying to exercise more regularly, you might lay out your workout clothes the night before so they're ready to go in the morning.
Like those little visual reminders, those little nudges in the right direction.
Precisely. And it can be as simple as putting a bowl of fruit on the counter instead of a bag of chips, or subscribing to a fitness app that sends you those, workout reminders.
Oh, I love those little nudges. It's almost like we're tricking our brains into making healthier choices.
In a way, yeah. We're leveraging the power of our environment to support our goals.
Now, I'm curious, have you seen any particularly creative or surprising stimulus control strategies that have worked for your clients?
Oh, absolutely. One client of mine, she was struggling to drink enough water throughout the day. She was constantly reaching for, those sugary drinks instead. So we brainstormed some stimulus control ideas, and she came up with this brilliant solution. She bought this cute, reusable water bottle that she absolutely loved, and she started carrying it with her everywhere.
So it was about making hydration more appealing, more accessible.
Exactly. And it worked wonders for her. Just having that visual reminder and a water bottle she enjoyed using made a huge difference in her water intake.
It's those little things that sometimes can have the biggest impact, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that's an important reminder that behavior change doesn't have to be about these huge, sweeping overhauls. It can be about those small, strategic tweaks that make a real difference in your daily life.
Yeah, I love that. So speaking of real life impact, I think social support is another key ingredient when it comes to behavior change, especially in the realm of fitness.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Surrounding yourself with people who encourage and support your goals can make all the difference.
Yeah. It's like having your own personal cheer squad.
Mm.
Those people who believe in you and hold you accountable.
And it doesn't have to be a huge group of people. Even just one or two supportive individuals can make a significant impact.
I think it also helps to find activities that we genuinely enjoy, whether it's dancing, hiking, swimming, or anything that just gets us moving and feeling good.
Absolutely. If we dread our workouts, we're much less likely to stick with them long term. Finding ways to make fitness fun and enjoyable is crucial for sustainable change.
I love that. It takes the pressure off,
Yeah.
and allows us to connect with the joy of movement.
And don't underestimate the power of rewards. Celebrating our wins, both big and small, helps reinforce those positive behaviors and just keeps us motivated.
Ooh, I love that. It's like giving ourselves a little pat on the back for all of our hard work.
Exactly. And those rewards don't have to be extravagant. It could be something as simple as buying yourself a new book or taking a relaxing bath or just enjoying a delicious, healthy meal.
I think it's important to acknowledge that we all have different preferences when it comes to rewards. What motivates one person might not work for another.
That's a great point. The key is to find rewards that are meaningful and motivating to you.
Absolutely. So we've talked about cognitive restructuring, stimulus control, social support, and rewards. What other strategies can help people make these lasting changes?
Well, one thing that often gets overlooked is the importance of self-monitoring.
What exactly do you mean by self-monitoring?
It's simply about paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, related to your fitness goals. This can involve keeping a food journal, tracking your workouts, or even just noticing how your energy levels fluctuate throughout the day.
It's like becoming a detective of your own habits.
Exactly. And the insights you gain from self-monitoring, they can be incredibly valuable. For example, you might notice that you tend to crave sugary snacks in the afternoon when your energy dips.
Or you might realize that you're more likely to skip your workout when you don't, plan them in advance.
And once you become aware of those patterns, you can start to develop strategies for addressing them.
So self-monitoring is about gathering data on yourself so you can make those more informed decisions.
Precisely. It's about empowering yourself with knowledge and awareness.
Now, this has been such an insightful conversation, and I feel like I'm already starting to see my own fitness journey in this new light.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I think it's important to remember that behavior change is an ongoing process. It's not about perfection, it's about progress.
Well said. And I think it's also important to acknowledge that setbacks are inevitable. Nobody's perfect, and we all slip up from time to time.
That's right. And it's how we handle those setbacks that truly matters.
So how can we reframe those setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than reasons to throw in the towel?
It's all about shifting our perspective. Instead of viewing a setback as a sign of weakness, we can see it as a chance to, learn and adjust our approach.
So it's like a feedback loop. We try something, we see how it goes, and we use that information to make adjustments.
Precisely. And that's where self-monitoring can be really helpful. Tracking our progress, whether it's through a food journal, a fitness tracker, or simply noting our workouts in a calendar, can provide valuable insights into what's working and what might need tweaking.
It's like having a record of our journey so we can see patterns and identify those areas for improvement.
So, we were just talking about self-monitoring and how it can really help us identify those areas for improvement.
Yeah, it's like having this detailed log of our fitness journey so we can see what's working and, maybe what needs a little bit of tweaking.
Exactly. And I think that brings us to another important point, which is that setbacks are going to happen. They're inevitable. No one's perfect. And we all slip up from time to time.
Right. And so much fitness advice focuses on this, idea of no excuses and always pushing harder. And it can make you feel like if you stumble even a little, that you're somehow doing it wrong.
That's right. And that kind of all or nothing thinking, that can be really detrimental. It sets people up for feeling discouraged and, ultimately just giving up altogether. Instead, we need to kind of shift the focus to learning and resilience.
Yeah, I love that. So how can we reframe those setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than, just reasons to throw in the towel?
It all comes down to perspective. So instead of viewing a setback as a sign of weakness, we can see it as valuable feedback. It's a chance to pause, reflect, and maybe adjust our approach.
Yeah, it's like that saying, every expert was once a beginner, right? We all make mistakes, but it's what we learn from them that allows us to grow.
Exactly. And I think that's where, that self-monitoring can be really helpful again. Remember, we were talking about tracking our progress. Well, that data can be incredibly insightful when we do encounter those setbacks.
Yeah, so it's not just about celebrating the wins, but also kind of analyzing those moments where we maybe veered off course a little bit.
Right. Let's say you've been consistently hitting your workout goals for, a few weeks, but then you have a week where you miss several workouts. So instead of beating yourself up about it, you can look back at your journal or your tracker and you can ask yourself, okay, what was different that week? Was I extra stressed? Did I not prioritize sleep? Were my workouts, becoming too challenging?
It's like playing detective with your own habits. Looking for those clues that can help you understand why that setback happened.
Exactly. And that understanding is key to making adjustments and preventing, similar setbacks in the future.
So it's about turning that, ugh, I messed up feeling into a more what can I learn from this moment?
Precisely. And another crucial element in navigating those setbacks is self-compassion. We wouldn't berate a friend for slipping up, so why do we do it to ourselves?
That's so true. We tend to be our own harshest critics.
Yeah.
But beating ourselves up is only going to make us feel worse and, less motivated to get back on track.
Exactly. Instead, we need to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer, a loved one.
Absolutely. So it's about acknowledging the setback, learning from it, and then just moving forward with that, self-compassion.
That's a great way to summarize it. And remember, one slip-up doesn't erase all your progress. It's about getting back on track and, focusing on the bigger picture.
Yeah. This has been such an insightful conversation. I feel like I've gained this whole new toolkit for approaching behavior change, honestly.
I'm so glad to hear that. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to emphasize that behavior change is a journey, not a destination. It's an ongoing process of self-discovery and growth.
It's about finding what works for us as individuals and embracing the ups and downs along the way.
And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Seek support from, friends, family, or a qualified professional. Having that guidance and accountability can make a world of difference.
Absolutely. And most importantly, believe in yourself and your ability to make those positive changes. You've got this.
We hope this deep dive has provided you with, valuable insights and practical tools to support you on your fitness journey. Remember, like every step you take, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep moving forward.